because this is what we do here. We go early for you folks. What is up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Disney Movie Review. We are back and better than ever with a real good one tonight. We are going to be talking about the one, the only, as I got to turn off my sound on the other side. We're going to be talking about Night at the Museum, the Ben Stiller, Robin Williams movie, and I am really, really excited. What's up, my brother? How you doing? For the good of all three.
You nearly forgot, didn't you? Just for the good of all
three. I did almost forget. It's been that week.
So much so, Walt nearly forgot about our little hour.
No, that's not true. Walt did forget about the hour, and Daniel, thank God he sent something early. He sent something at like 3:30 our time, and he goes, "Hey, do you have the link for tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh!"
I threw you a bone, and you, the Tyrannosaurus Rex that you are, came running.
Yes, thank goodness.
That was a good analogy. That was
yes, Rexy for sure.
Rexy.
I was a nervous Rex. Sorry. You okay? Hands up. Hands up. Anyway, well, welcome in, everybody. We are back and better than ever. We're going to have a great stream tonight. We're going to be talking about the one, the only Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
2006 is when this movie came out. And I'll still never forget the trailer. I'll still never forget the trailer I saw for this movie. I thought it looked really, really fun, and we were excited to see it. And we'll talk about what we thought about it in a minute. But, Daniel, let me do some quick mousekeeping, if you don't mind. I want to do some quick mousekeeping. Of course, Dean, theliveplace.com. Check him out for family-friendly streams. 4 partner channels, Steve's World, Diz Our Dream, Pete McDevitt, and this guy right over here, Disney Dan, who, don't forget, guys, next week, it's going to be on his channel for a Disney movie review. All of our partner channels are absolutely fantastic. That's why this guy is a partner channel. And, of course, all of our members. Thank you to our members. Membership, you guys are absolutely amazing with your extra generosity and loyalty. Most of the stuff we do, we wouldn't be able to do it without your generosity. So thank you to our members for sure. And other than that, let's say hi real fast, Dan, to the chat. I've got the one and only Rob Fuzz is here. What's up, Rob? Good to see you. Keith BDF is here. Jeannie52573. Cynthia Candy Mom, our first member. Chris S. Charlie and Stacey, the Disney Nerd Herders. JD Kuntz is here. Will Lovins is here. Nathan's here. And Rob Rathman is here. You ready, brother?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get going. So let me ask you.
Well,
do you remember when you first saw a trailer for this movie at all?
Well, I don't remember much because I was the puny age of 12.
In 2006?
Yeah.
Jeez, I was 36. I got to say hi. John Surfbum's here. There's Melissa. She's in the house as well. What's up, everybody? Anyway.
I don't remember much about the trailer. I just remember the hype around it. I remember, there was going to be this star-studded movie with lots and lots of actors. I remember Ben Stiller being cast in the movie because he was in films like Meet the Parents and that sort of those films. So I was just like, really, really excited to have Ben Stiller in the movie. And then I hadn't really seen it properly since this week, since I saw it back in the cinema, in the movie theater. And I was so pleasantly surprised with all the famous actors cast. This cast is unbelievable.
Well, it's funny you said that. Let's kind of go over that cast because you've got Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, Rami Malek is in this movie.
Rami Malek, Ricky
Owen
Gervais,
Wilson, Dick Van Dyke, Ricky Gervais, Steve Coogan, Paul Rudd is in it. Carla Gugino is in it. You have
there's the
so
famous. There's a British comedian.
It's just so many people that are in this movie. Mickey Rooney is in it as well.
Crystal the Monkey's in it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many great people. Brad Garrett's in it as the Easter Island statue. It's just there's so many different people that in this movie. It's a who's who of I wouldn't say major stars. Well, Robin Williams is, and Rami Malek is a major star now. But like Owen Wilson, Steve Coogan, those guys, they're good stars, but they're not like A-listers in my opinion.
Ricky Gervais is
he is where you guys are.
Is
Great
a
guy.
National treasure here. In UK,
for sure.
And,
but I got to tell you,
but I just got to say, speaking of Rami Malek, we need to bring up our sponsor.
Oh, please. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. We do have a sponsor. Thanks to Dan. He got on the phones last minute because I just was so busy this week. And he said, I got this, Walt. And he got on the phones. He reached out to several different people to see who wanted to be a sponsor this week. And boy, he got it done.
I came through. I'm you know what? I should change my job. I should quit being a teacher and start getting people to sponsor the show full time.
You're an ad sponsor guy. I know, right?
I am. I'm the ad guy. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hi. Here is this week's sponsor. This week's episode of the Disney Movie Review is sponsored by Akmenra Ramen. Ever wanted to dine at an Egyptian/Japanese restaurant? Me too. Me too. Well, come down and try our new Akmenra Ramen. Succulent, tender camel filled to the top in a rich broth. Vegetables, noodles give lovely texture to this lovely dish. It's so good, you'll want to sleep for 5,000 years. So snap your way down to Cairo Cart and pick up your Akmenra Ramen for a limited time offer of $1 per hump. So good, even your mummy would love it. Akmenra Ramen, perfect on hump day. All our dum-dum gum-gums are welcome.
That was amazing. Good job.
Dum-dum,
gum-gum. Dum-dum. Hey, Dum-dum, you got gum-gum?
Gum-gum.
Jeff Condon, welcome in. Good to have Jeff here. Debbie Bernfeld's also here. And Cy. Cy, I did get your message, by the way. Thank you for that. That's a great ad, man.
Yeah,
good pull.
They really, for them Egyptian Japanese restaurant owners, they really wanted to push for this.
Well, and you got to be careful with the Akmenra people from over there because they'll just keep talking and they go on for Niles and Niles and. Anyway,
for all we know, we'll be in the backside of water any minute.
Exactly. All right, folks. So
let's take this more seriously.
Yes.
Well, we really need to take this more seriously.
I know.
I mean, I got an advert for the show. I mean,
I apologize. I know. Thank you. 2006. Now, here's what I didn't realize. It made domestically in the United States $250 million, which doesn't sound like much, but for 17 years ago, that wasn't bad. 574 million. 250 million is what I meant to say, but 574 million globally. Not bad. Almost $600 million for a movie back in 2006, 17 years ago. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So it did really well in the box office. Greg Marlowe, welcome in. Good to see you. Love Pugs, welcome in as well. So let's kind of get into this movie a little bit, Dan, because we already talked about all the cameos and all the great stars that are in this movie. But it starts off, they're in New York City, and it's Larry Daly, right? That's his name. His name is Larry Daly. And he is a dad. He's a divorced dad of a son. And he's kind of I don't know what I want to call him. I don't want to necessarily call him a loser, but he's really on the brink of being. He is definitely struggling. He can't keep a job. He's one of these guys that wants to be a self-made man. He wants to have his own. He wants to be that next Clapper, the person that invents the next great big thing. And Snapper. All these different. Yeah, right. Exactly. He wants the Snapper. That was actually kind of a funny part. But he's there and he wants to be the next big thing. But it's just not working out. None of his inventions either work or good.
When he said he wanted to be a snapper, I thought he wanted to be a fish or something.
No, not that kind of snapper. So his son is there, and his son loves his dad. He kind of worships the ground he walks on. The mom's got a new boyfriend now, which of course is Paul Rudd. He's got a quick little small part in this movie, which I thought was kind of funny.
In this movie.
Yeah, me too. I forgot too.
I was like, is that Paul Rudd?
Yeah, that's Ant-Man. Ant-Man's in this movie. But so he's there, and he's got a job. He loses his job, and now he's going to lose his apartment. And he's thinking about he might have to move again. And he goes to see his son, and of course the son's mom is there. Hey Nick, welcome in.
Hey Nick.
And she talks about how he really needs stability in his life, and her point is well taken. She's right.
Yeah.
Because he's moving all the time, and it's not good for their son, whose name escapes me in the movie. What's the boy's name?
The boy's name is...
Anybody in the chat know? What's the boy's name?
Nick.
Nick, right. Nick Daly. Right, Nick. So she's talking about, look, you need some stability in your life, or, we may have to kind of rethink whether or not he stays with you. And that's kind of a big deal for him because he loves his son. He wants to spend time with him. So he talks to his son, and his son's, he's a big hockey player at first. And then he's talking about maybe not being a hockey player because he wants to go into bond trading, kind of like Paul Rudd's character is. And, he kind of takes it hard that he's kind of
losing his
son a little bit. Yeah.
Mm.
And, so he goes and at a desperation, he's actually going to go find a real job at this point. So he goes to the job people, one of those, like, what are they called? Headhunters or whatever, and says, hey, I need a job. And she's like, I got nothing for you. You can't do anything. Kind of. That's what it was. She's kind of like, you have no talent. You have no skills. There's nothing. And then she says, but I do have one thing that might fit. And what is that, Dan?
He's going to work at the Museum of Natural History.
Natural history, I think. No, natural history, I think.
Natural history.
As
a snapper. No, a security guard.
A night guard, yep.
Night guard.
He's going to be the night guard.
He's the night man.
Yep. So he goes in, and of course, this is where he meets Ricky Gervais, and Ricky Gervais's part is very small in this movie, but it's very funny.
Yeah.
We laugh out loud with his part. He's kind of the curator or manager of
he owns the museum.
Yeah, he's the manager of the Museum of Natural History. Carlo Gugino, who is just awesome, is in this as one of the workers there, which I think is kind of cool. But he goes in to get the job, and he gets there, and he's got to meet the people he's replacing, because I guess the Museum of Natural History isn't doing well, right, Dan? They're not getting a lot of people. They're not making a lot of money, so they need cutbacks. And so he meets. I'll let you kind of take this part if you want, where I can run with it.
Well, they meet.
Who does he meet?
He is the three the three night managers, the night guards that he's going to replace. One of which is, of course, the legendary, awful British actor. Well, tried to be English actor, Dick Van Dyke. Cecil. Yep.
And then Mickey Rooney is Gus.
And
I'm looking him up. Him up. Oh my gosh, isn't that terrible?
They're just Reggie. And
yes.
they're just sidekicks compared to the Cecil, Dick Van Dyke's character.
Right.
And it is very weird seeing an actor like Dick Van Dyke in this role.
Hey, John.
Considering he's been in things like Mary Poppins, he's been in loads and loads of other movies. It's weird seeing him in this kind of role.
Really?
Yeah. I just.
See you, Keith. I loved him in this role. I thought it was perfect.
I think he did a really great performance. Absolutely. But I just was like, is that Dick Van Dyke? Like, that's okay. I'm on board. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
something different.
I like the part because as he's getting introduced, Cecil and Reggie and Gus are there, and Gus is a little over the top with it, but they talk to him about, hey, yeah, they're cutting back. They don't need 3 night guards anymore, so we're out, and they need somebody to replace us, and we think it should be you. So they kind of go around. And he shows them around the Museum of Natural History as they're coming to the end of the day anyway, and he talks about this, that, and the other, and different things he needs to do. And this is the first real inkling of funny things to come, because he's there, and he says to him, just remember, whatever you do, don't let anything in or out. And Ben Stiller's like,
What?
okay.
Let
Whatever.
anything out.
Yeah. So they're there, and he goes, all right, well, I'm going to think about it. He goes home, he thinks about it, and then he takes the job. And I like this part because that first night he's there, he's in his uniform, he's there. Cecil, Gus, and Reggie are leaving. They hand him the keys, and then
the manual.
And then the manual, or they hand him a like
papers.
Some papers or whatever, and they say, "Here's the manual," and he's again like, "What?" And he doesn't look at it. He just like kind of puts it to the side, and then he starts going around, and he do the funny part with the microphone.
With the intercom, yeah.
Sunday, yeah, whatever he does. It's so funny. And he's there, and then he's walking around, and he's making sure everything's locked up. And, of course, right in the middle of the front of the museum is the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex, what do you call it, skeleton.
Yeah.
So he walks by it, and it's not there. He doesn't. I like it. It's funny because he doesn't notice it first. John Hazelton, welcome in, buddy. I don't know if I said hi to you, but welcome in. He doesn't notice it at first, and then he turns around and he's like waving at it, like, "Oh, this is David Copperfield. It's really there." And then all of a sudden, he goes around the corner and he sees the T-Rex
drinking
the water, and then he drops his flashlight. Then the T-Rex starts chasing him, and you're thinking, oh my God, this T-Rex is going to eat him, and he's trying to get away. And then he finally gets back to the main desk area, and he's calling Cecil on the phone, and Cecil and the guys are all having a party with all these young chicks and having a great time, and this, that, and the other. He goes, "Cecil, there's something going on here." And he goes, "Did you read the manual?" And he goes, "What? No." He goes, "Read the manual." And the first one says, "Throw the bone."
Throw the bone.
Throw the bone. And he's like, he doesn't get it at first. And then all of a sudden, there's the bone. And he's like, he throws it. And it's almost like a dog playing fetch. Yeah. So that was cute. I like that. I don't know about you, but I like the first introduction of what's happening.
For sure. I think it's a great sort of introduction to what could happen. You know, if this T-Rex is going to come alive, you know that everything in the museum is going to come alive. And you think, oh, the T-Rex is probably the worst thing. There is a lot more worse things that are going to happen with all this. All these things are going to come alive. This world of natural history,
right?
All of this stuff is going to come alive.
Right, exactly. And that's what, and it does too. Then you see woolly mammoths walking around. You're seeing rhinos, ostriches, all these, like, Galileo is there, Christopher Columbus is there. There's these cavemen that are there.
Huns from China.
Attila the Hun, which we'll get into him in a minute. I didn't want to touch on him just yet. He's actually very funny. And all these different things going on. And it's really kind of neat because I love how they really, no stone was unturned in the different things that they made sure they included in this. And I really liked it. It's just a neat part. And he's trying to figure out what's going on. And of course, he's going crazy and he's not understanding. And he's thinking, I must be dreaming this, but it happens. And then the part with the Huns, I really enjoyed the part with the Huns because they start chasing him like they're going to kill him. And he's trying to get away from them. And it's just that whole scene with that. And then the scene with the caveman. It's all really, really funny. And then, of course, he goes into the one area where it says, lock up the lions or they'll eat you. So he goes there to try to lock them up. And that's when we meet Dexter. And I'll let you touch on Dexter a little bit.
Dexter,
the capuchin.
The capuchin monkey.
Yeah,
so Dexter has, obviously, in the manual, it says, beware the monkey, he's going to steal your keys.
Right.
So they lock up the lions, yet he finds out that his keys are missing, and of course Dexter has the keys. He's like, come on, give me the keys back. Come on, Dexter, give me the keys. And he's trying to get Dexter to grab the keys, and then Dexter starts biting. He starts biting his nose, manages to get the keys, but he loses something really important. the manual.
He loses the manual,
which is even more important. And he's like, "Don't you do it? I know what you're doing. I don't do it. Oh, don't you dare do it!" And of course, what does Dexter do? He rips the manual apart.
Yes, exactly.
Oh dear.
So now he doesn't have the manual to know what to do. And I just like that whole first sequence of the first night because it's great to see him basically fail royally at doing what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. Nothing goes right. Everything falls. He ruins half the area. Like there's the time when the cavemen start making the fire, and then he's got to put it out with the extinguisher.
Isn't that the second night? Yeah, that's the second night.
No, I thought that was the first night.
No, that was the second night because that was his second warning, wasn't it? And he got FIRED.
Right. Well, the first night, after the first night is done, he goes back to Cecil and him, and he says, "Hey, I'm not coming back." If I'm not mistaken, he says, "Nope, this isn't for me. I'm not coming back."
I will say this though, let's put it to you this way: if you guys don't know in the chat, the majority of my job is teaching students about the ancient world itself. So when you meet a man called Octavius, it's not really Octavius, and it's the Roman figurines really put me off because it's so not right. But that's just me being picky. Because you got Steve Coogan playing Octavius, who's meant to be playing Augustus, who's like the first emperor of Rome, and like it wasn't even the Roman army at that point. Like it was just like loads of people just coming together, just fighting. And then they were fighting against their neighbors, what's his name? Jet, played by Owen Wilson.
Jedediah,
who's like a cowboy with that kind of thing, and they were fighting each other like a brotherly argument. And then he's like, "I'm not coming back." He said to Cecil, "It's not happening." He actually gets a warning from Ricky Gervais's character because we see Octavian in the stocks with about to be sort of beheaded by Jebediah. It's like, is this some kind of joke? No, this is not a joke. You can't do that.
Yeah, see, I really like the minifigures. We didn't really touch on that, but it's kind of a big part because Jedediah and Octavius become so integral to not just this movie, but the sequels that follow. They're bigger and bigger as those movies go on. They have such a bigger role here and there. But I actually really like that. I like the fact that they bring in these minifigures like that, and they made Steve Coogan and Owen Wilson be a part of that. And the way you're right, two totally different, times in world history. The Romans and the Roman Empire way back hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of years before the frontier of the American West. And yet they're interacting.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious personally that they
were it was funny. Which horrifically inaccurate, but that's just me being picky.
Oh yeah. I get it. I know. And as somebody who's a history person like that, I totally understand. AB, welcome in. But I do like their banter. I think their chemistry together is really, really good and really funny. But so again, after that first night, he's like, "Nope, I don't think this is going to be for me." And then that's when he talks to his son, and he's like, his son's like, "Hey, Dad, I hear you're going to have to move again, and Mom's saying I might not be able to come over." And he's like, "No." That's when he kind of second guesses himself. He says, No, I got a job. I'm working at the Museum of Natural History. Trust me. I got a job, and I'm going to have you come over. And that's when he goes back into Cecil and he says, "You know what? All right, I'm going to give it another night." So I like that. I like that he didn't quit because he seems like that's what he is.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he's kind of a quitter at things. Sebastian the Crab, welcome in, Jeanette. And then he does come back that second night, and he's a little more prepared the second night. But, he brings in...
He says the RC car with the bone attached, so then Rexy can follow it.
Yes, I love that. I thought that was fantastic. It was really smart. And then, of course, he says, "Quest for fire." Because they wanted to make fire in the first night, and he was like... And then he gave him the thing.
Is this enough gum for you, dum dum?
Yeah, exactly. And then he gives all the gum to the Easter Island, and then he's there, and then again he's still having his issues with Dexter. He fools Dexter. This time he brings in some play keys that like a little baby would have, and Dexter steals the wrong keys, and he actually outsmarts him this time. But then that's when Dexter pees on him, which I thought was funny. Anyway, and then but then Dexter does get the keys, and the whole slapping thing is funny. But you know what we didn't talk about? We got to talk about probably the biggest star in this entire movie.
Yeah.
Who saves him that first night when things are going horrifically bad. And that's Teddy Roosevelt, President Teddy Roosevelt. Robin Williams himself. As that first night, he's going around and he's like just everything's a disaster. And he's losing and trying. Looks like he's about ready to get beat, and the Huns are about to get him. Teddy Roosevelt, Robin Williams comes and helps him and helps him restore order that first night, which I thought was really cool. And I love his character in this.
So much emotions, because how sometimes when you talk to people, like, if you could have 5 people be around like a table at a dinner party, who would you have celebrity wise?
Mm-hmm.
Like Robin Williams would be hands down one of the 5, because like he is. We all know, I think everybody says this who loved him. Like, he went too soon. He was a brilliant comedic actor. Well, just an amazing actor in general. You look at him in films like Good Morning Vietnam, and then you got his comedies like Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook. This, it's big. No, it was not big.
Well, he's had so many things. Remember, he started in America on the TV show Mork and Mindy.
Yep.
That's where he got his start. Robin Williams is great.
Flubber. I know it's not the best film, but he was brilliant in that.
Dead Poets
Society.
Yeah.
But he just brings it in this film. Like, he's just so good in this film. And
his character is great.
I think the character is great, and I think he just pulls it off so. I don't think any other actor could have pulled that role off at all.
No, I agree. I think the role is perfect for him. But I like him. He does a great job. He helps him the first night. And I like the fact that he talks about some of the different lines that he has, I think, are really, really good. And I'll save what I think is his best line for a little bit later as we get further into this. But he's there and he talks about how great of a man you're going to be, and greatness is thrust upon some people and other people take it by the horns, and different things like that. And so I really liked his character in this, and I'm kind of all over the place, and I apologize, folks, but there's a lot to this movie. So that second night, he does a little bit better. He kind of talks to the little people, and I love, like, I call them little people, but the minifigures. He talks to Jedediah and Octavius, and he's like, "You guys need to get along. Let's do this, please." And he's like, "I don't like being called Gigantor." I like the chemistry between them. And he, like you said, he gives the gum to the Easter Island, and then he talks with the Huns and tries to get them to calm down. But the second night, is that the night where he has to turn out the fire and the window opens?
So the window opens.
And remember, nobody can go outside.
So the cavemen decide to go outside, see what was outside. And then what happens is, because of the, which we forgot to mention, the Akhman-Ra tablet, the golden tablet.
Oh, that's the most important part. I'm sorry.
The whole part of this, sort of the reason why that these artifacts and wax figures and everything in the museum can come to life is because Akhman-Ra was moved from Egypt, and the gold tablet is in the museum. So the rule is, if the sun comes up and anything from the museum is outside of the museum, they will be turned to dust. So one of the cavemen goes out of the museum through the window, and then the sun comes up, and then he turns to dust, and then just so conveniently his dust gets mopped up by one of those vans, just so conveniently there.
Yeah.
So, but yes, and we see Akman Ra in his sarcophagus, sort of screaming, "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" And we kind of think, "Oh, this guy's no good. Like you got to keep him in there," and that's kind of what sort of Teddy Roosevelt was talking about. And everything sort of happened when he arrived. So it's kind of like, oh, what's going on? We don't really want to.
Right. And I do like the fact that they do talk about Sacagawea in this, because that's who Teddy Roosevelt. You always see him kind of veering, looking out at her. And he always says at first, like, "Oh, I'm tracking, man, I'm tracking." But he's not tracking. He's fallen in love with Sacagawea.
He's attracting.
Yeah, exactly. He's not tracking. He's attracting. Yeah, exactly. Good one. That was good. Look at you. You got it today, man. You got us a great sponsor, and then you got this.
I'm not just a dum-dum with gum-gum.
No dum-dum. No gum-gum. But he does. He's fallen in love with Sacagawea because he sees her every night. But he can't talk to her because she's behind the glass. But he's kind of fallen in love with her. And I love her part in this as well. And again, she's another one that as time has gone on, her character has evolved and become more important as each sequel has come. So anyway, he gets there the second night. He has the problem with the fire extinguisher. He actually gets fired the next day by Ricky Gervais. He says,
"And Nick,
what happened here?" And his son was there. His son sees it. Because remember, he told his son, "No, I got the job. Come on over. I'll give you a tour." And the son sees him get fired. And then his son leaves. But after he gets fired, he actually goes back into Ricky Gervais and he says, "Look, I'll clean everything up. Give me one more night. I promise I got this. I'll get it right." And he does. He gives him one more night. And that's when he goes back and he comes back to the house, and the wife, the ex-wife's there, and she's like, he doesn't want to talk to you. He's upset. And he's like, "What is he upset about?" And he goes in and he talks to him and says, "Dad, I saw you get fired today." And he was right. Right, Dan? I mean, he's technically not wrong. He did see him get fired. But he goes, no, I didn't get fired. I kept the job. And he says, "I'll tell you what, why don't you do this? You come to work with me tonight, and I'll show you what I do and what happens. It's going to be amazing." And I thought this was really neat because I didn't really catch on with this. So he brings his son that night, and he's like, "All right, are you ready? Because at night, everything in this place comes to life." He tells him. He just comes right out and says it. And it's going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he looks up at Rexy, and he doesn't move when the sun goes down. I like this part. I thought this was really neat. And he's like,
well, this scene really just shows how good and underrated I think Ben Stiller is as a comedic actor, because he's literally had to pull his socks out and be as comedic as possible to make these inanimate objects that are meant to come alive
right,
even more static, which is even harder, I think, for it to be. Right. He was going up to Teddy Roosevelt, like tapping on the horse, tapping on Texas.
Right.
Tex, is his name Tex or Texas or something? The horse.
Tex, I think it's Tex.
He's just like, come on, let's go. Like, come on, Teddy, let's move. It's past now. Let's go. And nothing's happening. So I think he just does a brilliant job in sort of emphasizing that there's a problem.
Right. No, I agree. But I like the fact that, then when the son sees that nothing's coming to life, he's kind of upset and he's like, "Look, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this." And he starts to leave. And that's when they look outside for a minute. They kind of glance outside and they see something's happening down in the storage area. And that's when Ben Stiller says, "Nick, come with me. Let's what's going on? Let's go see what's going on down there." And then when he gets downstairs, they see that the Akman Ra tablet, along with a lot of other valuables, are in this shopping cart. And then all of a sudden he sees Reggie, Gus, and Cecil. And they're there. And Cecil says, he's like, "What are you doing here?" And they're like, "Well," he says, "we noticed that when all these things come to life at night, we did too.
Yeah.
And it made us younger, and it made us feel good again, and it made us feel young again and vibrant and full of energy." And they were like, we don't want to lose that. And so we're taking the tablet with us. because they thought by having the tablet, they would stay young and maybe even immortal. They didn't really get into what exactly the end game was with that, but that was what they thought. They thought they kind of got addicted to it. They got addicted to being young all the time, and they knew that since they got fired, they weren't going to get that anymore.
It's why Dick Van Dyke, though he can do it at the age that he was, could do a full 360 spin kick and kick Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I don't think that was him.
I don't think it was either.
No, but it was. But I thought that was important because it did show that these really old men weren't lying, because he just did a spin kick on this guy like he was 25 years old. And then you see all the other ones as they're running. Nick steals the tablet. Larry says to Nick, take the tablet, run. Well, at first he says, turn the tablet, Nick. Trust me, turn the tablet. Because it was kind of turned sideways. He had to turn it. Yeah, it was closed. He said, turn the tablet so it would open. And Nick didn't believe me at first. He said, trust me, just do it. And then when he did it, you heard upstairs all the roaring and all the stuff. Everything was finally coming to life. And Nick finally believed his dad. And that's when he said, run. So Nick did. Nick ran with the tablet, and that's when the three of them kind of chased after him. And I like this because it does show that even though they were old, they did feel young because they were doing a lot of young stuff, whether it be jump kicks or running like they were 25. I thought that was neat. Hey, Harry.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. So we're getting near, again, I'm kind of
rushing. We're getting into the final act.
Yeah, we're getting into the final act now. This is the final act. So ultimately, it's all about Cecil, Reggie, and Gus wanting to steal the tablet so they could stay young or at least feel young. And Larry stopping them, trying his best to stop them. But in the process of all this happening, they're going upstairs and they're fighting, and they're, all the cast of characters upstairs are helping them, beating the bad guys and getting them. But downstairs, where the inventory is in the warehouse area, they have these bay doors. The bay doors were opened. So now all of a sudden you see a woolly mammoth, you see a tiger, you see some men going through. They're all going out into the real world. Yeah. And you got to remember, they said they can't be outside at sunrise or they're all going to go to dust.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Reggie gets caught, Gus gets caught. But Cecil gets away, and he gets away with the tablet. If I'm not mistaken, he's got the tablet. So he starts in the car, but this is the funny part. So they have this van, and this is where Owen Wilson and Steve Coogan come down, and they're like, go ahead, dude. Talk about them taking the air out of the...
So they
we love this part.
They are miniatures. They are absolutely tiny, and they're like
going
through. They're going through the snow like it's the trenches in like a world war. They're like going through, climbing through it all with their men. They're coming together as partners in crime, and they go up to the van, and they're like, "How do we tiny people stop a car? Well, we're gonna take the air out of these tires." So they grab this stick. Was it like, I don't even know what it was.
It was a pin or something.
It was a pin. It was a ball. It was like, it was a pin,
like a bobby pin or something.
And they decided to stab through the air. What do you call it? The air cap.
Yeah,
of the tire.
Uh-huh.
And they like put like it's a hurricane like blowing in their faces. They're trying to hang on, and then the camera just pans out and just looks at the van like nothing. Like nothing is going on. Like it's just
exactly. Exactly. It's so funny. Hey Christina, welcome in.
What's up, Evan? So funny. It's
so funny. Hilarious. It's one of the, I'm not quitting you. I think that seems fantastic.
You just see the others just being blown away and just
exactly. But I like this part because after Cecil gets in, but then he crashes his truck, and this part's funny. This is really good. So then they kind of pan back. Ben Stiller comes down with Sacagawea and Robin Williams, President Roosevelt, Teddy, and they come down and they're like, she's tracking, she's looking, she goes, well, it looks like they went on foot to a vehicle, and then the vehicle got disabled, and they left. And he goes, wow, you tracked all that? And she goes, no, look.
It's just over there.
There's the vehicle. I like that. I just thought it was funny that she's like, no, it's right there.
And he crashed.
Like, oh,
just there.
But he goes, but wait a minute. And then he's like, well, wait, if he didn't take the car, how did he get away? And then that's all of a sudden where you see Cecil come out in a stagecoach with 6 horses. And he's coming straight for Sacagawea. And then all of a sudden, Robin Williams pushes her out of the way to save her. But he gets run over and cut in half. Now, he's not dead because he's not real. Right. And that's when Ben Stiller comes over to him and he's like, are you okay? What am I going to do? How are we going to catch him? And that's when Robin Williams looks at him and he goes, you got to finish this. You got to get it done. You got to get everybody back. You got to get that tablet back. And he goes, but Teddy, you were the president. You know what to do in these things. He goes, I never did any of those things. I'm not the president. I'm not Teddy Roosevelt. I'm just a wax museum. I'm just a wax figure. He goes, I'm made of wax. What are you made of? And that's actually my favorite line in the movie when he looks at him and he goes, I'm made of wax. What are you made of? And it's
more than Dum Dum Gum Gum.
Yeah, I actually like that line. I like those kinds of lines. I really do. I think they're. I know. And that's when he goes after him on Rexy, if I'm not mistaken. He gets Rexy and gets on the back of Rexy.
So he's on. No, he's not. No, it's Jedediah and Octavius. They're in the RC car, and they've got the bone, and the Rexy is running,
chasing the bone. That's what it is.
And Larry is on Tex. Right. He's on Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, he's on the horse. That's right. That's what it is. Okay. Yes. He's on the horse. And he's chasing him. Hey, Megan, welcome in. He's chasing him. And something happens to Owen Wilson's character and Steve Coogan's character, Octavius and Jedediah. For some reason, I can't remember why, but they tried to make the turn on the car, and the car lost control, and they went spiraling out, and the car crashes, and that's the end of them. They blew up.
How an RC car blows up.
Yes, but it did. It blew up, and poor Jedediah and Octavius are gone. And but Larry continues on, and he does finally say, I like this part. I thought this part was cool too, where he's there and he's talking to Cecil, and Cecil's like, these horses will never stop. They can only stop for a magic word. And he goes, oh, you mean this magic word? And he says the magic word.
And he stops.
And they stop, and then Cecil goes flying. He goes, see, look, I did some reading up while I was
my history, yeah.
I thought that was cool. Hey, Paul. Welcome in, buddy. But I thought that was really neat. And then they capture Cecil, and then they take him back, and they do actually get all the animals back into the museum at the end.
Thanks to Achman Ra doing something with the tablet.
Well, I guess let me go back to that for a minute, because I thought that was kind of ingenious too. Achman Ra does get out of his sarcophagus, and he comes out, and it's Rami Malek's character, and he's talking British, he with a British accent, and they're like, but he explains why, which I thought was smart.
He went to Oxford.
Yeah, because he was in, but he was also, that's where he was. He was in Oxford for the longest time as a mummy, so he could hear him. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I thought it was funny that they did it that way. Obviously, it's not real, but I just thought it was funny. But he comes back, and they put the tablet back, and then they're there, and as everybody's coming in, I thought this part was funny. He's like, well, it looks like everybody's back in. And he goes, well, not everybody. It looks like we lost 2 good soldiers out there, talking about Jedediah and Octavius. And then you see them come in. All, like fire, all blackened up because of the fire and stuff like that.
Yeah. I thought because again, RC cars blow
up. Oh my gosh!
Good thing they weren't in like a plane or a boat, because they would be a much bigger explosion.
But anyway, so they bring them in, and then they're there, and the night's pretty much over, and you know, the whole museum is a shambles because of all the fighting going on. There's stuff everywhere, and it's horrible. And he's looking at Teddy, and he's like, you know, Teddy, I think this is probably going to be my last night. And he goes, well, if it is, he said, it's been an honor. And then he looks at Nick and he goes, Nick, your dad is a great man. And then everybody else goes back into their spots and they freeze because it's daytime. And there you have it. And I like this.
Well,
I guess it must. Well, go ahead.
Well, because there was one last thing which I actually really liked. So obviously Ricky Gervais's character is there. He brings Larry into the office, just like, have you seen the news? Have you been on the news lately? And he shows the news.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, there are dinosaur footprints in the snow.
At Central Park, yeah.
There's these people in Central Park. We've got the caveman on top of the National Museum lighting on fire. Like, what have you got anything to say for yourself? And he's like, you're fired. And then obviously this actually ends up being a brilliant PR stunt. And the museum is busy. And
like packed like, with people.
Fully. Right. Which I really, really liked. I think that was a very, very clever, cool way to end the movie.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really cool.
Very clever.
I agree. So then he hands the keys back to the keys and the light, the flashlight back to Larry Daly, and he just kind of nods his head as if to say, "Good job."
And then we have the typical, what I call DreamWorks ending, where all the characters have a big dance off at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Every DreamWorks movie has a dance off at the end of the movie. It's the same in this film. I can't stand it.
I don't know. I thought it was fun.
It's fun, but it happens in every film like that. I can't stand it.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. I liked it ending like that with a kind of a celebration for me. I don't know. It was interesting, but there you go. That's the movie. That is Night at the Museum. I got to tell you, I'll never forget the first time we saw it. We absolutely loved it. Kids loved it. We loved it. But we've come to that time where we're going to talk about our grade. We're going to give our letter grade. Maybe it's changed for us because, you know, does this movie stand the test of time? Does it age well? Is it something you can go back and watch over and over again? And let's talk about it. Because there's been some movies I used to love as a kid. I've gone back and watched now, and I kind of scratch my head, and I'm like, why did I like that? Yeah. So, you know, maybe that's the case here. So this is where you guys come into play as well. Dan and I are both going to give our letter grades in a minute. We'll talk about that. But we want to hear from you. Let us know in the chat what grade you give this movie from A+ all the way down to an F. We've given both. We've all given A's. Well, I don't know if I've given an A+, but I know I've given an A. And we both have given F's. And I want to hear from you guys, your letter grade and why you give the letter grade. Now, Dan, I'm going to have you go first. I want you to do a couple things for me. Favorite character?
Yep.
Favorite scene? And then your overall analysis and grade. Have at it, young man.
All right. So my favorite scene, I'm going to cheat. It's going to be my favorite series of scenes. So my favorite series of scenes is the first night. The first night he's in the museum. So right from the start, from Rexy being alive to right through to the end, where Teddy Roosevelt saves him. The first night is my favorite series of scenes. Like, it's just so well. It really brings you into this Night at the Museum universe. I absolutely love it. My favorite character, I'm tempted to say Teddy Roosevelt, but because it's Robin Williams, but I can't because, yeah, he was absolutely incredible in it. But I think, for me, honestly, this is one of Ben Stiller's best roles. I think he was so good. I think he was so good in this film. I think Ben Stiller quite often plays the same character in most of his movies, but I actually feel like he did a really, really good job in this film. And I got behind him. I wanted to support him. He was compelling. Unlike last week when we talked about the Phantom Menace, he's a character you want to support. He's a character that you want to see achieve because he has been failing. He has been, troubling with his son. Like, I want him to succeed. So, yeah, he was a brilliant, brilliant character. The worst character, I know we haven't spoken about this because, we never do worst character. The worst character is the character we actually haven't even met. We didn't even talk about, and that's his sort of girlfriend that he met halfway through. Rebecca, Rosie, whatever her name was. Who wanted to meet Sasagula.
Carla Gugino's character. Yeah, she just didn't really have a major part in this film.
She was just there.
Yeah, she was there, but she wasn't there. Yeah, I agree.
So my grade. So, did I enjoy this movie? Yes. Did I find it funny? Yes. Would I watch this over and over and over again? Yes. There are, though, a lot of faults with this movie. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. There's a lot of films that, yes, it's a comedy, but it still needs to not be completely crazy. Like, RC cars don't blow up. I know it's down to comedic effect. I know it's down to comedic effect, but it's got to be, it's got to make sense. Like the whole Rebecca Rosie storyline, completely irrelevant. You did not need her in the movie. If I'm really honest, you didn't need whatever her name was,
Sacagawea.
Yeah, whatever. You didn't need her in the film either. You really didn't. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could have been cut out and saved for another movie. So there are quite a few issues, I think, with the film, but I still really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it Movie Mania Nick does not like where I'm going with this. I'm going to give it a C+.
Okay.
Above average for me. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's like the best comedy I've ever seen in my life, but I still really enjoy it. I still really, really like it. So I'm going to give it a C+.
Cool. Very good. Well, before I give my letter grade, we'll kind of go into the chat here real fast, and we'll kind of go down what the chat has to say. We'll start with Melissa. Melissa says, I still love it. She gives it an A. Cynthia gives it a B+. Megan gives it a B. I think that's it. Oh, Debbie. Debbie says, A, this movie had adventure and humor. The characters were spot on. The movie made you want to be in that museum and experience it live. That's a good point. I will say that. Disney Trash Can, welcome in. I give it a 3 out of 5 trash cans. Hey, Chris, welcome in. Melissa says it's a lot of fun. Nick gives it a B+.
I will say right at the start, or quite further up in the chat, like really, really far up, Sai gave it a B+ right early on.
Oh, good. And Sai gave it a B+. So here's the thing with me. First off, the runtime is perfect at 1 hour and 48 minutes. Not too long. They didn't make it overbearing or unnecessary. I actually am going to be a little bit different than Dan. I think Ben Stiller's fine in this movie, but the side characters make the movie. He doesn't carry the movie, in my opinion. The side characters carry the movie. He's fine in this. He's good. But the side characters make the movie for me. I love all the different characters. I agree with you. I think the Carla Gugino character of Rosie, whatever her name is, probably didn't need her. The Sacagawea, I get it. That's her. That's the love interest for Teddy. I'm okay with that. The other characters are funny. I think they're hilarious. I loved so many different aspects of this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun and a really nice, different premise for what a normal movie. There aren't too many that are like this. Favorite character for me is a tie. Owen Wilson's Jedediah and Robin Williams' Teddy are probably a tie for me. I think Owen Wilson is hilarious in this movie.
He's good.
I just think
he's good in this
absolutely
movie.
Fantastic in this movie.
Stop the train.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now hit him out.
Yeah, exactly. He calls him Gigantor. I don't know. And Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt is great. Favorite scene? I got to agree with Dan. I think that first night is really just done really, really well. It's just so funny. It's just done really, really well. Ben Stiller does a great job with it. We get introduced to pretty much all the different characters, and I think it's awesome. I love this movie. I think this movie is a ton of fun. I can watch it over and over again. It has its, for the most part, the things that I don't take it seriously at all. I just take it as a fun movie. So for me, my grade is, you're going to be surprised. I'm giving it an A. I actually really enjoy this movie. If this movie is on, I'm going to sit down and watch it. There's nothing about this movie, like even the history part of it, I'm not looking at it. I think it's done on purpose. I think they purposely make it wrong to make it wrong. I don't think they made the error. I think they made the error on purpose just to make it funny.
Yeah, that's what they said about the Phoenicians in Epcot.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I did. I know about that because they annoyed me about it.
Well, I'm just talking about. I don't know.
Phoenicians did not invent the alphabet, people.
No, they didn't invent the alphabet. That's not what it says. It says they invented a common alphabet for everybody.
Which they didn't.
So they didn't even invent anything that everybody could commonly use?
Nope.
So they purposely just lied about the entire thing.
Yes, and you know what's even worse? They put that slogan on a hat and sell it.
That's okay.
It's teaching people the wrong thing.
I have no idea.
It's like saying pigs can fly.
Well, I don't know.
I'm going to put it on a t-shirt.
Elephants can fly? Anyway, here we go, folks. Let's get this moving. Daniel's ruining the moment. Hatbox Ghost, welcome in. Good to have you here. Daniel, we need to do the big part now.
Well, we need to firstly say thank you to someone very special.
Yes, our sponsor.
Our sponsor. So, dum 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 dum. This week's episode of the Disney Movie Review is sponsored by Akman Ra Ramen. Ever wanted to dine at an Egyptian Japanese restaurant? Yes. Me too. Well, come down and try our new Akman Ra Ramen. Succulent, tender camel filled to the top in a rich broth. Vegetables and noodles give lovely texture to this lovely dish. It's so good, you'll want to have a 5,000-year sleep. So snap your way down to Cairo Cart and pick up your Akman Ra Ramen for a limited time offer of $1 per hump. So good, even your mommy would love it. Akman Ra Ramen, perfect on a hump day. All our dum-dum gum-gums are welcome.
Thank you again to our sponsor. Yeah, the ramen will last. I mean, who doesn't like Akman Ra Ramen, right? So
goes well with our Admiral snack bar.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. But no, I'm glad you were able to get a hold of them on the phone, and what a great sponsor to get this week's show going. Just thank you to Ak, as I like to call him, for the sponsorship, and I can't wait to try the ramen because the ramen will last. All right, Daniel, it's come to that time, the big moment. We're going to do the poll for next week on Dan's channel, everybody. Next week, 5 p.m. on Dan's channel. Be sure to subscribe to Dan if you haven't already done it. And this is the part that always makes me very nervous.
We need a drum roll in the chat, people. Put the drum emoji thing. Easy, I got one. Easy, I got one.
No, Melissa, I did not take the dog out.
Now this film. Now let me just check something here, because with the whole Disney Plus Hulu kerfuffle thingy, this film might not be on Disney Plus anymore.
Well, let's find out.
It is. Well, I've only put one of the words because I accidentally split it in half. But I don't know why. But it says ice on it, and I know exactly what it is. It's Ice Age. Bearing in mind, I made these options. I put every one of these in this box like 3 years ago, so it might not be on there anymore. I know it's on the UK Disney Plus, but I'm not sure if it's on the US version, the original, the original Ice Age.
I don't know. If somebody can go in there right now and check it. I don't know if I can get it. Let me see. Let me pull it up real fast, Dan. I'll see if it's available.
Or should we just do it?
No. Don't do another poll. If that's what it is, that's what it is. Ice Age is there. It's there.
We're doing Ice Age then.
There you go. Yep, I see it. There it is. Ice Age, first one.
We're all going to be slothing around.
Yep, I agree. Yep, there you go, guys. Ice Age next week.
You agree to sloth around.
Yes, I'm. It's been such a terrible week. Crazy. I don't even know what's going on. Bruce, welcome in, sir.
Bruce.
Yep, the original is there, so we'll be watching it this week. We want you guys to go out there and watch it as well, so that you're prepared for next week's Disney movie review on Dan's channel. Again, don't forget, guys, please go out there and subscribe to Dan if you haven't already. He's got a whole playlist of all of our previous Disney movie reviews as well. If you want to go back and check out the previous one.
Do you know how many
57.
Reviews? 65.
Is it really? 65. My goodness.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. But I got to say, season 3 is, if it's not our best season, it's darn close. Season 1 was really good. Season 3 has been pretty darn close to being just as good as season 1.
I mean, if you haven't been watching our season 3, not only did we talk about the best Harrison Ford movies, not only did we do the classic Mary Poppins, not only did we do the unbelievable, unforgettable Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, not only did we remember the highly forgettable The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, and not only did we do Night at the Museum, we are now doing next week The Age of Ice.
Yep.
Ice Age.
Yep. This show is not going to be extinct. We are going on for a long time. We're going to make it. I knew we would.
I just can't wait next week to talk about Sid the Sloth.
Yes, exactly.
Sid the Sloth's like my spirit animal.
He's a great character. Anyway, gang, let me just say real fast, thank you to Dean over at theliveplace.com for family-friendly streams. Check him out. Be sure to also check out our 4 partner channels, Steve's World, Disney Dan, Disney Our Dream, Pete McDevitt. This guy right here is Disney Dan. That's why he is a partner channel. Again, thank you to our members. Membership has its privileges, and you guys are amazing, and we're privileged and honored to have you as members. And other than that, gang, thank you again to Achman Ra Ramen for their sponsorship this week. They are just fantastic. You do not want to miss them, or if you do, we're going to whip you with a wet noodle. Anyway, everybody, I don't know. I'm tired. Everybody have a great week. Dan, what's coming up with you? Anything new?
Well, I've had numerous of messages and emails from nobody about my news podcast.
Okay.
What people be asking about? No one's asked. Because I have a lovely, wonderful week off work next week. Woohoo.
Nice.
I'm hoping to release the show, the first episode next week. I know it's been really, really mad as it's just been crazy leading up to the wedding, but the episode of Slimming Summers podcast hopefully will be released next week, and I hope to get another one filmed during that week too. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the first episode, and should be good.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. So again, guys, remember, next week on Dan's channel, 5 p.m. for Disney Movie Review. As for us, we'll have a stream on Friday at some point. Don't know exactly when. Maybe something from Melissa on Saturday. I have to talk to her. Of course, Sunday we'll be back at Magic Kingdom. And other than that, this has been great. As usual, my man, hope you have a great week.
And you.
And for the good of all Cree.
For the good of all Cree.
Everybody have a great week. We will talk to you all soon. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye, everybody. Bye,